We are in 2025 and a lot has been happening in the Ghana music industry because a lot of people believe or feel like, the fans are actually breaking us apart as opposed to them uniting us. And when I say uniting us, there's so much that is happening when, the fans get involved. Your favorite will say something and then the fans feel like, what my favorite said was right. He was right to say it. Is it good for the fans? Are the fans actually helping the industry grow, or the fans are actually leading the division as opposed to, being able to call out their acts and saying, hey, you are not doing the right thing. But yeah, it's good to see something like this. I have right here in studio with me a very fine gentleman and a beautiful lady talking about Timo Clottey, who is the director Bang Bang Loud and head of music, The Continent Live. How are you doing, Timo?
I'm all good, bro.
You're doing fine?
All good.
Was your December dirty?
I saw people dirtying themselves, but
You didn't dirty yourself?
I wasn't doing the dirty, nah.
Wow, what were you doing this December?
So basically like running shows.
Yeah.
Afro Future, I had like a beautiful time, Culture Beat Jam, and then, other events. It was mainly work for me though.
It was work for you?
It was work,
so you didn't really enjoy?
I did enjoy. I love my work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it was work and happiness.
Work and happiness, exactly.
Beautiful. Good to see. And then also I have Isabi here with me as well. She is a podcaster and also an event host. How are you doing, Isabi?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing very, very fantastic. And how was your December as well? Was it dirty? Your festive season, December into January?
Not really dirty. It was a calm and collected December for me. Just home, reflecting, relaxing, enjoying myself at home.
Wow.
She's a proper lady.
Yeah, she's pretty proper. I'm really shocked because a lot of people will be expecting be out there because I don't think I know any of my friends who was home this December.
Really?
I'm actually the first I'm hearing saying you were home.
Well, I was.
Reflecting.
Yes.
So when do you actually dirty yourself?
Where do I actually dirty myself?
When do you actually dirty yourself?
I'm usually introverted. I can be extroverted if necessary, but I like to, keep my own company, keep to myself, just home.
Wow.
Some books, good movies, binge watch, that's it.
Charlie. Even like some of we did. We know the inside though. Anyway, I also have Akiemi with us as well, who is a music lawyer all the way in Nigeria. How are you doing, Akiemi? Hello, Akiemi, can you hear me? I think you've muted yourself. You can unmute, Akiemi.
All right. Thank you for having me. Hello, Ghana. Hello, world.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. And you?
Man, I'm doing fine. It's been a minute. It's been a while. I've not seen you in a while, so I'm super excited to see you here as well. How's your festive season, by the way? December into New Year.
Well, I think in the same vein, I had a lot of thinking and planning to do. I was in a very reflective mode. But I still had a great time with my family and friends. I'm no longer the kind of guy who wants to party and, really dirty my December. So I think that comes with age, or that comes with, the more you've done it in the past, it's no longer like a big deal.
Man, Akiemi, you and Isabi, you're spoiling the December for us because some of us were expecting you to say, oh, I was here, I was there. Now it looks like myself and Timo are the only bad ones, and you two are like the good ones.
No, not that. I'm just being honest,
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be honest, but hey, and I appreciate that as well. But it's good to have you here as well. Today, we're having a conversation about, musicians, their fans, who then start as fans and grow, become fanatics. And then it goes on and on and on, and then people tend to support and, stand by their own even when they are wrong. So that's all the conversation we are having today. Now, Timo, let me start with you. What do you make of all the fashions that we have in Ghana right now when it comes to our big acts? So let me try and see if I can remember some of them. So we have Sack Nation,
Right.
We have High Grade Family. So Sac Nation is for Sarkodie. We have High Grade Family for Samini.
Okay.
We have Beam Nation for Stoneboy. We have Shatter Movement for Shatawale. Who else do we have? We have Aqua Nation for Akwabwa. We have who else? Who else comes to mind? We have the Gingams. Come again?
The Jackie Chans.
The Jackie Chans
Jackie.
for Jackie.
Black Sheriff.
Black Sheriff's people, who are they?
Propagandas? I don't know.
I mean, but it's fine. But I mean, just right now, we've been able to point out at least 5 of such groupings, right, of funds. What do you make of these groupings or these fashions that we have in Ghana, especially in the music industry?
I think they're necessary.
You think they're necessary?
I think they're necessary. People like who they like, right? Obviously, even me just being here, right? Saw you were warm, strong handshake, you know, so I developed a like, and I was like, oh, I like him. So if I like you and you're doing something, obviously I'll support. Sometimes I meet people and I don't really like them, or I don't like their energy, or whatever it is, and it can develop further. And I think it's the same with like music artists. There's certain people that you resonate with, maybe you share the same values, right? And you find yourself gravitating more towards them than other people. So I think it's only natural, yeah.
It's only natural, and you don't have a problem with it at all?
No, I don't have a problem with it.
All right, Isabi, how are you? What do you make of this fan bases that we have? Somebody says, I'm the president of the... And I'm like, hey, who elected you president?
Very important.
I think it's actually necessary for every industry. Just like the music industry, the movie industry, there are fans all over. So, and I think the fan bases actually create or an integral part of you know, an artist's career. So without them, because they do a lot of things, if we are going to get into that. So I think, yeah, fan base is actually very essential.
It's actually
it's just that when it's not, you know, controlled or regulated well, it can get out of hand.
All right.
Right.
I like that you've already slipped into that aspect, so we'll go deeper into that. But then, Akim, I don't know how it is in Nigeria. Can you just give us an overview of how the fans are in Nigeria? Are they also as grouped as we have here? So do we have, what will be Wizkid's fan base? What will be their name? What will be Burna Boy's fan base? What will be, I don't know if 30BG qualifies.
Yeah. We have the same situation in Nigeria. The different, the bigger stars, Burna Boy, Davido, Wizkid, everyone has like a community they kind of like oversee. So with Davido, you have the 30BG. With the Wizkid guys, you have Wizkid FC, and then the Burna Boy supporters are called outsiders. And I think, just like in sports, the supporters group is very, very integral, because without, you know, people who believe in this talent, they probably wouldn't have a career. So I think the competition, the back and forth, the bands, the trolling, everything makes for great entertainment. If it doesn't spiral into violence, I think, in fact, this extends the stay at the very, very peak for the A-listers. And I'm happy that, you know, the same thing is going on in Ghana, because if we have fan bases that are clashing, feeding online, it helps to do, you know, PR that money can't buy. It helps to, you know, amplify the status of the artist. Also, you are sure that, yeah, the bigger the fan base, the more commercial opportunities that can be exploited, connected to this talent. So if you know that, hey, this guy has a very, very big fan base scattered over different territories, you as a promoter, or you as a record label, or you as an investor in the music business would be more, you know, willing to maybe invest in that talent. So I think it's very, very good for business.
Now, I like the fact that you're saying it's very good for business. Now, let's come to like the music industry for like these two countries. our fan base actually growing our music industry in the right direction?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Why do you say so?
I mean, they are all audiences, and the audiences, we have we have fans and the audience, we have listeners, we have critics that would actually critique everything these artists put out. So I believe that even certain fans, kind of are able to convince their artists to try different genre. They are able to push for collaborations. They go on these streaming platforms, they stream your music, get you on top of charts. So yeah, I think absolutely.
No, I'm asking this because sometimes people feel like it is the fan base that actually fuel some of the unnecessary fights that we have in our industry.
That's true.
You get? So that's what I'm asking. Are they actually growing it in the right direction? Because then you realize that Stoneboy, let me know. I really want to stay away from mentioning names, right? I want to stay away, but I can't help it. So let's say an artist goes to sit somewhere, say something, right? If the opposition's fan base do not react, it dies. But then opposition's fan base decides to react, and then it graduates into something different from what we actually like, or from what the person actually planned to say. Now the person has to apologize for it, which then brings the whole fight, and this person's song is not nice. Now an artist puts out something, and then the opposition's artist or his fans will say, it's not good, it's not good material, which then is also killing our industry, in my opinion. That's what I'm asking. Are they growing it in the right direction?
So the fans have a role to play, right? The artists themselves also have like a role to play. The media has a role to play. So I won't say it's necessarily like just the fans, because again, the artist is the leader, right? And if I'm following you, I'm following you because of something. So maybe if maybe one person has said something and my fans are reacting to what that artist said, if I realize that this is going to create confusion, I can literally step in
and call them to order.
And then call them to order.
Okay.
So everybody has a role to play, even the media, because everything that is said is amplified.
Yeah.
And we, like the disorder, the chaos. It's exciting, and
it's exciting.
It is exciting. It's show business.
Yeah.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
So even the media enjoys it because this is clickbait.
Yeah.
Right.
So then we are able to generate polarity. Then we're able to have conversations. So in the grand scheme of things, it may not necessarily play too well if it goes really far. But sometimes it just helps, because look at us sitting here today discussing this, like, you feel me?
Yeah.
So someone's going to learn something, pick something. So it depends on how you look at it, really.
It depends on how you look at it. Because I like the fact that I say that. Because sometimes you realize that you as a fan, you're asking, but why did my boss say it? Like, why did my leader even say this at all? Now you have to go defend something that, and then you're like, I was not there. I didn't even know why he said it, but then he's going to say it. Now, me being the father, I have to stand by him at all cost.
Yeah.
But then, Akiemi, as a fan, should you stand by your favorite through it all, through thick and thin? So he's gone somewhere, he's going to say the worst of things. The fact that you're a fan doesn't mean that you need to stand by him through it all. So for me, he says this artist is not good, or he says his opponent is not good. I'm his fan, so yes, his opponent is not good. When I can clearly see that the guy is good, as a fan, should you stand by your leader through it all?
I think it comes with the exuberance of being part of a sect. For example, if you have someone you idolize, whether a politician, a sportsman, or a musician, of course, the reason why you idolize people, just like my friend said, is because you kind of like see, maybe you share the same values, or maybe they inspire you. For example, I started out wanting to be like, I wanted to be like R. Kelly. When I was a 10-year-old, I listened to one of his records, and that kind of like inspired me, and I became a fan, which means I championed him. I was ready to debate anybody. But at the same time, as I got older and I, grew into a man that could think for himself, I was no longer a rabid fan. Yes, I still recognize and appreciate how genius he is, but I can now take myself out of just being a crazy fan, and I can actually think for myself. So I do not think there's any human being artist that doesn't have a bit of good and bad, or you can't just totally just sell your ability to think just because you queue behind someone. So same thing you find in Nigeria. There's some politicians who stop, representing the people properly, but they still have supporters who will just keep following them. And that even people who are crazy about football as well. There are some times that your favorite isn't doing great anymore, but you still believe in them regardless. So that's what I think.
At what point does this whole thing, and I really want us to go to like this, let me say the meat or the body of the whole essay, right? Because we've done the intros and everything. At what point does this whole thing graduate from just being a fan to now where you can say, no, this guy is a fanatic? Because I'm sure you've met people like that before, where you're like, hey, like, what is this guy even talking about? At what point does it? Like you said?
I don't know anybody like that.
You don't know anybody like, I mean, Timo, you know for sure. But then at what point does it graduate into that? Because like I said, we all start at fun. Everybody starts as fans, right? And then now it gets to that point. So at what point does it really get to that point?
I really can't say for sure, but I think it just becomes obsession. They're obsessed with their music, their personal life, I mean, even out of music, and some even go to the extent of saying, I want to be exactly like this person. You know that? Yes. Yeah. So I think that's
you want to
when
be exactly like this person.
Oh yes, I mean, I don't know if you know about the BU project by Belamundi. That's pushing for people to be themselves. Because if you hear her speak, she would usually say there's been instances where people have approached her and said, oh, Bella, I want to be exactly like you. I want to do what you're doing, from your hair to how you look. So I really think it's obsession. And that obsession, when it gets to that point, they actually die-hard fans. They'll actually do anything to support them, defend their, excuse my French, a little nonsense, right? So yeah, I think when it gets to obsession, then that's when it becomes fanaticism.
Wow. What do you think? What do you make of it?
I mean, I do agree with her 100%. And maybe what I'm going to add is, I think it also kind of depends on like the person or the individual, right? I have artists that I absolutely adore, that I obviously maybe want to be like in terms of maybe the achievement and what they've done. Because I used to be an artist myself before I transitioned into...
Were you singing or you're rapping?
I'm a badass rapper.
Oh man!
Like okay. I'm a badass rapper. Don't try me. I'm a badass.
Before we end, we'll put him on the spot to give us a few lines.
I agree.
Yeah. But obviously, if you haven't been somewhere before, a lot of people, maybe you look up to someone, and most of these brands or artists sort of have like maybe they're aspirational brands. So when you look at them, you see hope. Because anytime maybe I see someone like maybe Shatta, Sarkodie, or like Stone perform, and I see like the fans in the crowd, the devotion with which they sing the songs and the emotion, you can tell that he's a symbol of hope for him,
for the person that's
down
listening.
there.
Sure.
Yes. So like as an example, it's like maybe whether it's Robin Hood or whatever, like you've seen the person move from like the gutters up to where they are now. And just because you know that this person has been able to do it, he becomes like an example and a light to you. So then you want to model everything that the person does. Yeah, and sometimes it can be a little dangerous if you are not self-aware. you know, especially of who you are and what your values are and whatnot. Like you can literally go astray. Yeah.
Wow, I find that very interesting because I've also been at that point before where, and I'll just share this personal life experience,
Right.
and maybe you guys can advise me whether I was growing to become a fanatic or no, because I'm a big fan, a massive fan of Morgan Heritage. Now, I never knew I was going to meet them any day in my life. I was just enjoying their music, all of that. And one time, Morgan Heritage walks into our studio, and I have the opportunity to host them and interview them. I just saw Peter Morgan of blessed memory, may he so rest in perfect peace. I just saw him, and I didn't know what happened. I just broke down and I started crying. At that point,
You ain't a fanatic. Like the music just speaks to you.
but then there was nothing that Peter does that I didn't see any bad thing he did. Do you get? I didn't see any bad thing he did. To me, he was such a perfect human being. He had no flaws. He was just the best. So one time he was singing somewhere, and somebody was like, "Oh, Peter is not pitching well," and I'm like, "No, that's it. He's hits the right notes and everything." But then in my head, I'm like, I'm arguing with somebody who is actually a music head, who understands every single bit of music,
Right.
and knows the skill and everything. And I'm rather arguing with him that no, Peter has hit the notes well. Do you get? So at that point, was I graduating to become a fanatic? At that point in time. And I don't know if Akim will help me on this. Because I really like to share personal experiences. Also because I think I've been there before.
Okay.
And I'm trying to learn.
Okay.
But
So Akemi, you said?
Oh, okay, you're going to
Sure. Akemi, would you, based on this experience I just shared, would you say I was becoming a fanatic at that point? Is Akemi still with us? Okay, so.
Lost him.
All right, but Isabi, what would you, based on this experience I just shared?
It would actually be hard to say because I really don't know on what level you resonate with him.
Hey man,
You know?
if Peter coughs, I'll catch a cold.
Oh. But did you get to a point of, self-realization though that, okay, I think I'm taking it a little too far and have to calm down?
That's the point. Like I don't know.
Are you still in that state? of
Hey,
mind?
Peter is my profile picture right now.
Oh, wow.
Do you get? But would you say I'm because sometimes, which is why I asked the earlier question. Somebody really loves someone and would go every extent to defend the person, right? Does it then make it bad for the person?
I think everybody needs that. Everybody needs that, and I don't think that makes that in itself, like that particular occurrence, is a bad thing. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this is someone that you idolize, right? So they can't do no wrong, and even in that instance, like the scenario you just gave, you didn't hurt anybody. You were literally just defending that. Oh no, he hit the pitch, or he hit the right notes. I don't think that there's a problem with that. Really, I don't think that there's a problem with that. I don't think that there's a problem with
All
that.
right. Now, this graduates from there. We become fans, become fanatics and everything. And then it gets to a point where now people begin to attack each other on social media. It gets on to, physical contact and everything. How much of this is the responsibility of the artist who is leading these groups? Or how much responsibility are we supposed to lay at the doorstep of the artists leading these groups? And also the individuals who call themselves fans. Reason being that one art goes to sit somewhere. Now I'll mention names. Stone goes to sit somewhere, studio in Kumasi. Decides to jab his brother.
Right.
Right? Says all sorts of things about him. Now, as a fan, of Shatawale, I will not be happy. And surely I'll meet a Stone fan who will think what Stone did was right, because he can point to other events that happened in the past. And then it becomes a back and forth between the two of us, verbal argument, then it gets into fiscal stuff. How much responsibility are we supposed to lay at the doorstep of the acts who are leading these two factions?
Okay, so I'll say this first of all, right?
Okay.
And this is not to condone any misbehavior or any bad behavior. However, in most professions, right, people are trained formally or informally or traditionally. It is surprising that in music, our music industry, right, because maybe it's also new, we don't really have like a lot of formal education or any form of education when it comes to that. So an artist is talented, we pick the artist, we put him in the middle of the sea, and then we expect that he'll manufacture a lifeboat and swim. And so like there are a lot of things, and some of these artists grow and then become better people, right? So that's the first part. Now, I'll use this window or example, right? So I take a look at someone like Jesus Christ, right? That's like a classic example of someone who wanted to propagate like a message,
okay,
or you know, like the gospel, which is like the good news. So he had like a purpose, like a vision that he shared with a group of people, and that vision was what they were supposed to carry and then move along with. Most of the time, I think that's where the artists fail to, or what they fail to do, is that like there has to be a vision that you've communicated to like your fans, or like the people who are following you. Just like you know, like Jesus, you had trained 12, 12 became 100, 100, 300, 300, 1,000, 1,000, 10,000. Then the gospel was like proliferated all throughout like the world. It's going to be the same with the artist as well. So you pick it, you give them the vision. So what are you really to do? Let's make sure that the music goes. We are showing my artistry and my talent to the rest of the world. That is the mission. Anything, or that is the vision. Anything outside of that shouldn't be a part of like our goal or our objective. So I think that the artist, for their responsibility is to make sure that they do that and exactly that. Then again, we are looking at the same example. Let's draw from that same example, right? So even within that fan base of Jesus Christ, there were a group of people. I'm Christian, so I'm drawing inspiration from there, right?
Which is fair.
So there are a group of people like the Pharisees. They were also quote unquote like Christians in a way. But anytime they go outside, right, Jesus would do what? He would chastise them and then correct them and then set like a precedent for the others to see that this is not acceptable behavior. So there is a way we do things, and then he leads by example. So if I'm to say maybe the responsibility of the artist, that's what I think that they should do, or that is the responsibility of the artist in this whole thing we are.
Well, yeah, I kind of agree with him, but I'm like Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, these artists are mere humans also.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, aside music, I think they have personal lives to live. They have emotions. So maybe something may have triggered a particular statement he puts out there, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, you're not really thinking straight if emotions kind of cloud your judgment.
Yeah.
And you may go out of even your personal principles to say some things that doesn't align with your beliefs. So maybe that may have come out, you're on live radio, TV, it goes out there. So I would say that as fans, as people, like I stated earlier that every artist has an audience.
Yeah.
And in that audience, we have fans who are like die-hard, dedicated, loyal, will stream everything, would even support you in your personal life. We have followers. Maybe they just follow you because of your music or your personality, or maybe you're good looking. And we have listeners. These people do not really engage in the personal life of these artists. They are actually on the streaming platforms, listening to your music because, yes, it resonates with them
it's
on a
good
lot
music,
of levels.
yeah.
And we have critics that would actually critique everything you do. Okay, this is right, this is not right. I think you should explore this genre. Okay, how you spoke or this album didn't really communicate to your style of music, so you should do this and do that. All of these fall under an audience. So I'll bring it back again to the fans. The fact that you're a loyal, you're a diehard fan, doesn't mean you should run with everything. I mean, as a person, you should have
Of your own, a mind of your own.
a mind of your own,
But
exactly.
Charlie, do they really have minds of their own?
So I mean, we are human.
Yeah.
Like the adage in the Ghanaian language, all fingers are not equal.
Yeah.
And we all cannot think the same. There are people that are very rational. There are others that aren't really, all the way there. Once they go into something, they see it as a religion, and they are going to fight for it no matter what. So the artist can't really control how some of these fans act, but again, agreeing with him, I can say that they can actually, step in when the fans are going overboard with the way they move about things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me just add this, right?
Sure.
Often, you will bear fruits after your own kind.
You bear fruits after your own kind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So usually,
Okay, explain
like
that.
the fans are like a reflection of like who the artist is. Like very often, like the fans will usually be like a reflection of like who the artist is. So that is also something I'm putting out there. Yeah.
Yeah, because you see, I find it very interesting that, because recently I was actually having a conversation with my brother,
Right.
and for some strange reason we are on opposite sides
Okay.
in the Ghana music industry. I'm not going to mention anything, but you
Right.
should be able to deduct your own thing. And then we were talking everything, and then we had argued, and then we both just went to lie down. So he was lying on the couch, I was sitting on the dining room, and he was like, "But Echo, what if all of these things is just agenda just for the other person to trend?"
There's that
Well,
too.
there's
And
that
then
too.
I was like, could be, do you get? So looking at that and giving this example, how measured should the artist be? Knowing very well that, like you said, there are diehard fans who will go any and every extent to do everything and anything because it is their act. And mind you, they do not know what has gone on behind closed doors. They don't know the conversations that have gone on. So me and Timo, Charlie, we are on opposite sides. In the media space, we are not talking to each other. But when the cameras are off, we are best of friends. How measured should we be when we are making any statements on any social media platform, on any media platform, looking at the fact that this could have negative effects on our fans? I don't know if you
taking
get
that?
if you get what I'm saying.
How
These are like
measured?
difficult
How measured?
questions.
Because what Stoneboy went to say in Kumasi recently, right?
You really have something.
No. Because you see, it's that thing has really generated a lot. And it's very unusual that, hey, all this happened and Shatta has not said anything. Shatta has not reacted. What is going on? Do you get? Like I said, my brother was saying, what if all of this was just orchestrated so that the other person would trend? But then, behind closed doors or on social media, do the fans understand that, this thing, them now, they do them own things so the other person will trend?
So this actually goes back to what I was saying, that you should have a mind of your own. This is show business. They want these things to go viral. Maybe he's releasing a new song and he wants attention on, traffic to his page.
Yeah.
So if they are thriving on you guys attacking each other,
other.
always going at it to sell their crafts, and you do not have a mind of your own, you would end up dead. What would he come and say? Oh,
may so rest in
May
perfect
so
peace.
right, he was a diehard fan of so and so. He's made his money, and excuse me to say, you have died foolishly. So again, you should have a mind of your own. I mean, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but then I feel like sometimes we also need to point it out to the acts. They should also be measured in what they say.
Of course.
Do you get? They should be measured in what they say, because the fan out there who you're not getting to interact with one-on-one doesn't really know what has gone on behind closed doors. So whatever you are saying, you need to be measured. And I want to say, I was very excited, but then again shocked when this whole Grammy thing, I think 2 years ago, when this whole Grammy thing came out and Stonebwoy didn't get it, and then Shatter's fans were going at Stonebwoy. He actually called them to order. I was like, hey, you guys shouldn't do this thing. It is not necessary. Let us all end it here and all of that. And it ended there. Do you get? So that is someone who was calling his people to order. So that's what I'm saying. How measured should we be? We need, as artists, we need to be measured because people really do not know what is going on behind closed doors.
So let me say this, right? I think this is where management and then mentors come in play, right?
Managers, mentors.
Yeah, come in play. Like, usually they always say that if you show me your mentor, right, I could literally see like the path on which you're on. And I feel like it's important for everyone to have one, like in whatever industry that you are in. In America, for example, maybe I'll use someone like Drake, right? So there is a gentleman called Prince, right, that he listens to. So usually maybe when Prince says something, he would consider what he has said and then maybe not move. I'm sure Jay-Z also mentors like a lot of people, right? And a lot of artists. So some of these artists too may have people that they revere or hold in high esteem. And even media personalities, you know, some of the owners of like our big houses and whatnot, sometimes they can call these people to order. So once you see it, and again, I'm talking about management. Sometimes something is going on, like, bro, you sit the artist down, lay it down. So then you do like the roadmap of where this is going to lead to, and then explain and then show the artist that this thing is a no-no. Then, if the artist doesn't listen, you know someone that he listens to.
Sure.
Then you reach out to that person, and then that person can bring, you know, to order. Just like, I mean, we have so many examples.
I mean, a lot.
Yeah. Even here in Ghana.
Yeah, a lot.
We have so many examples. Yeah.
A lot. And I really like appreciate you guys so much for this conversation because I feel like we've gotten to a point where we need to educate and advise the young ones out there who are losing their minds for an act and would be like, I would die for this artist. And I've actually heard someone say before, and I'm like, you would really die for this artist? Be careful, because once you lose it, that's the end of you. But he will be going on and be doing his own thing, be earning his money. But then again, before we end everything, there are some relevant acts also in Ghana who do not have fan bases. Do they really need one? So I'm talking about like, they do.
Yeah.
They need one. So they should go ahead and, because you see, sometimes some of these things, it starts as fans, right? So one or two, and then once they are able to name it, because that's what I've seen. Once they're able to put a name on it and say, oh, this is such a nation or such a movement, then you realize that it begins to fly and grow.
Well, I mean, in most cases, the artists don't even name these fan bases. Yeah. Like, let me talk about Nicki Minaj, Barb's. They're actually very toxic. One of the most toxic fan bases, like across the United States. So like,
what?
So don't
you're a Nicki fan? Oh no, I love Nicki, but the fan base, they're actually kind of toxic, you know. So they actually created themselves before you actually realize they have an Instagram account that posts everything about this particular artist. But talking about fan base, I think it is very essential. Like I said early on, it's very essential for every artist because if you have a fan base, you're putting music out, there's your crafts you're selling. At the end of the day, you make a living from it.
Yeah, the vision.
Right, this fan base, these fans are going to stream your music, put you on top of charts. They can even, push for collaborations with acts you probably never even thought about working with. This fan base, I even know that they organize streaming parties.
Yeah.
Right. For their artists.
And also where you need votes to be able to win an award.
Also, even for brands to endorse you, they look at your following, they look at your fans, and not just like the numbers, but the kind of influence that you have on these people.
Sure.
So fan base is essential.
It's essential.
Right.
All right, your final words before you go?
I agree with her 100%. Yeah. So maybe the only thing I'd add is it is it is something that has to be done intentionally, right? Because especially now, back in those days, radio, traditional media helps artists do well, right? So if you have the opportunity to be on there, but now it's been decentralized. So people are deciding who to follow, who to like, who to give their devotions to. And the world is becoming more and more distracting. So if you're not able to intentionally form like a community, then it'll be very difficult for you to grow one or to nurture like a fan base. So it has to be intentional, it has to be planned, it has to be managed properly and then well. So it's a lot of work that an artist has to do. An artist and his or her team have to do, yeah.
All right.
But it's worth it.
Thank you very much, Timo. Thank you very much, Isabi. I mean, you know, sometimes some of these conversations are pretty delicate because you don't want to go deep too much. You don't want to leave it hanging.
Yeah. So you don't want to poke.
Yeah, you don't want to poke too much. You also don't want to leave it hanging. But it's very good for education purposes. You know, people need to learn and know that it's not wrong being a fan. But once it goes overboard and you then begin to lose your mind and lose your head and go to the extent or get to the extent of wanting to lose your life for an act, then that is very worrying and that's trouble. I mean, that's trouble waiting to happen. So we need to be guided. And then also as an act, also learn, and I like one thing, something you said, learn to manage your fans or learn to manage your fan base. What you say for them is the gospel. So be mindful of what you say. Be measured in what you say because it can go a long way. And also make sure you have a roadmap. The teams, everybody, be in the thick and thin of everything that is happening within your fan base. And we can actually have a unified industry to actually go out there and push it. And the fact that you are part of this fan base doesn't mean that you cannot support the other. You get? When it's good and it's about Ghana, let all fan bases come together and support the act that is actually blazing it hot for Ghana.